Hello, my name is Sugata Mitra, and I'm speaking from my room here at Newcastle University, Newcastle upon Tyne in England. This is the beginning of a course called The Future of Learning. And as you might make out, we are doing a bit of an experiment here. We are trying to include people from all over the world, really, in addition to the students who are actually present in my classroom here. What can we discuss about the future of learning? Well, we could say the future of learning will look exactly like its past, like it always has. That would make it a really short course. But on the other hand, if we do think that the future of learning would be different from what it has been, we need to identify what those differences are. We'll do this in 3 or 4 different parts, each of which will, I hope, result in a considerable amount of discussion amongst yourselves and with me, and eventually we'll put the 4 parts together. So to start with, I had a question. The question was that if we think of a 12-year-old, a boy or a girl, anywhere, what should they be equipped with so that we can say their primary education is now over? Notice that I didn't say what should they know. I'm saying what knowledge or what skills should they have by whatever method, so that at the end of a certain period of time, maybe on their 12th birthday, we will say your primary education is over. So what should those things be, and how will we know that they actually have acquired this knowledge and those skills? What method shall we use to be able to say, I'm absolutely sure that he or she has now completed her primary education? So, somewhere in a tribal society, a child might have tried to take honey out of a beehive. His mother stops him and says, you're going to get stung. And maybe some other people gather around and say, we'll show you how it's done. And they do it. And the child is now equipped with enough knowledge or skill to be able to extract honey from a live beehive. How would that society know when the child is ready to do it by himself? They need to know that, because he could be stung pretty badly if they made a mistake in their assessment. So there is content, there is a method, and there is assessment in almost any learning situation. Should it be there today, or has that time passed? Is something that perhaps we may need to discuss. Obviously, there is not one answer for every context, but could there be contexts in which this method no longer applies? I can think of situations where a lot of what we earlier used to consider knowing is no longer required. If I have to go from my office here to the Newcastle Central Station, I no longer need to know where to go, because a device in my pocket will tell me exactly what I have to do. Knowing the location of Central Station is obsolete. Well, it may or may not be, but that's what we want to see as we progress through our discussions in this course. There could be other contexts. What if a child needs to know in which direction northeast is? I have this problem actually, although I am not a child, I still do have this problem. I take out my phone and I look up the map and I press navigation and the phone says head northeast. Now how on earth am I to know which direction northeast is? I believe only pigeons know that sort of thing. So generally the phone doesn't have a compass, or maybe it does and I don't know how to locate it. So I almost invariably head in the opposite direction until the machine says you're going backwards, and then I turn around and go in the right direction, or I see myself heading away from my destination. Is that a defect of the technology, or is it a problem with my education that I do not know and have never been taught how to figure out where northeast is without looking at a machine of some sort? Presumably there are ways, and there were people who would unerringly tell you where the northeast is at any time of day or night. We've lost that. We need to discuss whether that loss is significant or it's not. Does it make sense to ask a person what time of day it is and then say, but you're not allowed to look at your watch? Maybe there was a time when people could do this. We've lost that ability, but I think it's not a great loss at all. We all have watches, and we presumably will always have them. Or could it be that you might say, but what if all the watches stopped? What if all the computers went out of order? What if the internet failed? Should our children be equipped for that world? Is something that perhaps we need to think about. Now that you've heard the question, here's how we'll take it. You think about it, maybe you talk to a few people around you or whatever, and then you tweet. You don't make notes as it's conventionally done, because I am not giving you a lecture. What you do is you're thinking and then you're tweeting. Hopefully, if a lot of people think and tweet, we begin to have a discussion which actually just arises. Nobody makes it. The discussion emerges from this mass of communications. At the end of a certain period of time, I will take a look at what you've done to whatever extent it's possible, and then I will try and put it together. I will not value add, because who am I to value add on the future of learning anyway? Nobody knows the answer. We can only total up our collective answer to this question. So good luck then.